Greetings, YouTubers, Facebookers, and all other onlookers. It's a very special edition of the Jimmy Brown blog. Of course, I'm Jimmy B. Brown II, coming at you from Three Frog Studios here in Brundage, Alabama. And I am more than pleasured, happy, excited, very, very happy. I will try to use more verbiage to try to describe it, but
no,
I'm very happy.
I'm happy.
To have very special guest here for one of my video blogs, and very, very old friend, and I don't mean in age, but just we've been friends for so long. This is Mr. Eric Clayton from Savior Machine fame, and we're joined with Eric today. So this is going to be not a short one. We're going to have a little fun with this one. We're not going to really, we don't have a script.
No script.
I think we're just going to kind of wing it. I'm sitting here drinking tea. We're taking a break from tracking, and we'll get into the tracking idea and what we've been doing and all this other stuff and the good things that have been forming. But first off, I want to answer a couple of emails that have been coming through. Actually, more than 60. So this week. So I'm going to address a couple of those, and then we're going to get into our visit with Eric. So several emails about the project ERASERHEAD. Now, some of our crowdfunding folks for the Deliverance crowdfunding have been concerned that their money has been used to fund both projects. And I want to absolutely 100% assure you that that has not happened.
I can assure you that.
Yeah, that it's not happened at all. Deliverance funding is going with Deliverance. I think, Eric, you blew out the candle when you gave your assurance. So there you go. But by the way, we have this lovely ambiance today because we had to make it very Eric Clayton, and because me, I'm just in the bright white lights. I like you to see the white on my head. So.
and I have a tendency to ask for all the lights off.
Yeah, Eric he's always had a penchant for this. He's a filmmaker, and people don't know that about Eric. He actually is, and we're going to talk about some of that stuff later. But anyway, so I want to assure all our backers, all our crowdfunders, your money was well spent on what you paid for and what you asked for, and that was a very wonderful return to the past Deliverance record, and it's almost complete. It's almost done. We spent a great deal of time working on mixing and some different things, and I'm going to California in about 2 weeks to complete the recording process. So that way we can finalize the mix and get it all done and get it over with. And I'm going to finish the mix here at Three Frogs, but I'm doing some tracking out in California. Of course, everybody knows Greg Manier is with Deliverance now, and he has taken the role of the lead guitars, and he's doing a phenomenal bang-up job, by the way. I don't know if you remember Greg Manier. He was in a band called The Crucified. Yeah, it's a great guitar player. And people don't know, he actually did a project called Applehead. And then he was also one of the most sought after guitar players in Central and Northern California for a lot of the higher end cover bands, and he's done a lot. So we're excited. So when we first asked him, he was like, "Me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course you." So we had a total of 8 guitar players audition for the spot, and Greg's was absolutely the best. It just not only felt right, it sounded killer. So it's definitely something we're very excited about. So again, ERASERHEAD is a completely separate project, self-funded. Who knows, in the future we might ask for your help to do another record, but this one is something that I believed in so much that I just really, really wanted to put my all into it, and that's why we brought John Knox out from California. We brought Manny Morales out from Austin, Texas, and then for production value, we brought Mr. Eric Clayton into the picture because I know that I am a competent producer. I'm competent in what I do, but also a competent producer knows when he needs collaborative effort, and that's important.
What we're doing is the same thing Jeff and I do.
There you go.
I'm basically being your Jeff right now.
Yeah, it's exactly it, and that's what we're trying to do. So we're making a very special record, I think, and we'll talk a little more about that. A few more emails. So what are you and Eric doing together? It's been so long, and and I read probably 10 this morning that just were all in the same vibe, same, so, we heard you guys were enemies. We heard that you guys weren't friends and all this other stuff. And it's like, no, that couldn't be further from the truth. Some unfortunate, weird things happen in the industry that we served in for so long.
We've both been on some trippy journeys along the way.
No question. But
hit a few speed bumps.
But Eric's and mine's friendship, while there was some scars there, it was never nothing that couldn't heal. And we've remained close. And and he's a recluse. Don't let him fool you. He's a recluse, and especially don't let me fool you, because as much as I like to be the clown in the center of attention and everything I do,
he's a pretty reclusive dude.
I'm extremely reclusive. I hide away, and I'll hide away for a number of years, and you won't even know what's going on with me.
And somehow these two recluses have found a way to maintain a friendship.
Yeah, exactly. And it just and it's funny because when we rehooked up again, and oh my gosh, we just spent hours on the phone, and then we started video chatting, and if you guys could be privy to those video chats with some of those filters that we literally spent so much time wasted playing with these, the fire breathing's the best.
Those are a guilty pleasure.
Oh, very, very guilty pleasure. So, but we're just excited about working. So what are me and Eric doing together? Well, again, I wanted some collaborative effort because, again, I think a good producer knows, his limitations. And, production is a lot more than pressing buttons and everything else. It's actually lending your ear, lending your talent, lending what would be not only pop sensibility, but, art, an art sensibility to the project and what you're doing. So, and I get sometimes way too wrapped up and involved and so close to the project.
It's impossible to keep perspective when you love something that much.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when I knew, and Eric and I had been talking about working with each other. We have not worked with each other. First thing we did with each other was the Stay of Execution record. Eric came in, and my voice had changed, and of course I was going a different vocal direction. And Eric was very influential in that. And we did some wonderful backup vocals together. He actually constructed the entire backup vocal scheme for Ramming Speed, which is such a huge, huge song. Yeah. And even performed it live with us a couple times.
Right.
But and then we did some great, like when I wasn't hearing a chorus on Entombed, because it's this fast thing, and I've been singing differently, and Eric came up with this, Entombed, and we just made this giant wall of Jimmy and Eric. It was great, Cue ball in action. It was just there, pre-cue ball. Well, your cue ball was already there. But so Eric's just always been wonderful, and anybody that can tell you that's worked with me, I don't sing in front of people. Not when you're tracking vocals, that sounds silly because, wait a minute, you sing in front of thousands and thousands of people. What do you mean you don't sing in front of people? When you're in the studio, it's more intimate because now it's emotional. It's trying to pull something out of the singer. And I've always had a hard time with pulling that out of myself. So, but I'm really conscious of anybody that's around. I mean, so
I'm going to attempt to try to describe what it's
please
to try to produce your own vocals as a producer.
This lets me sip because I talk a lot.
No,
I do go on a lot.
No, it's just I was just thinking.
I just don't have a cool beard.
No, I was thinking how hard it would be to articulate what it's like to actually try to produce your own vocals. It's amazing. Jimmy's done it. I've done it. Where you produce complex arrangements of music, intricate parts, detailed, nuanced performances. And then you get to your own vocals, and you don't have that same, I guess, pragmatism that you have for other things.
That's true. That is true.
And it's difficult.
And we're our own worst critics, what make it worse.
Too close to it, like I said, And I know for a fact that I've burned over thousands and thousands of perfectly good vocal takes, searching for something that I could never really find. So, like what Jeff does to me, what he does for me and with me is just kind of. He keeps me in a good place where I'm just, I trust my instincts and I perform from here, very much from just what I'm feeling. And
I'm glad he said feeling because, when he went like this, Could have been heartburn. Yeah,
which I do get from time to time.
Always the trusty bottle of Tums near
bring that up.
and Pepto-Bismol.
Right, get free ones. Maybe you want a sponsorship.
Yeah, a sponsorship from Pellegrino. Yeah, there you go. El Pellegrino. S. Pellegrino.
What's the S for?
Stanley.
If anybody knows,
let us know
what the S is for. Let us know.
Yeah, exactly. Stanley.
Yeah, Stanley.
My name's Stanley
Pellegrino.
Pellegrino.
It's not a very Italian name.
Yeah, Stanley Pellegrino.
Stan.
To Stan. There you go. All right.
To Stan.
Me, I'm drinking some yogi tea and some throat healing. In fact, these are cute because they come with a little message. Every tea bag has its own little message.
I can't read it.
Yeah, Manny likes tea bags. So, everlasting impact with compassion and kindness is called love.
That's sweet.
That's so dumb. Anyways.
Sorry, man.
All right, there we go. So that's what we're doing together. That's after all these years, but it's not like it just happened. Like I said, we started with each other on Stave Execution. Then Savior Machine 1 came, and Eric wanted the same team that we assembled for the Stave Execution backup team, which was myself, of course, Eric, Ricky Michelle, and we even had, I think, Love Larimore, who joined us, and Terry Taylor. So we did the host of backup vocals that Eric had arranged there. And of course, we both had the good fortune of working with Terry Taylor, who he himself is a ridiculous genius with arrangements and ideas.
Especially vocal arrangements.
Oh, yeah, because very Beach Boys, Beatle influence, you know. He's just a genius, to say the least. And so that's, our relationship forged in '91 when we first met each other. And we'll get into that. So I think that was there's one more email that asked about, are you going to show us any Eraserhead? Eric has been posting little things here and there on his Facebook, so please feel free to go and look.
Yeah,
listen.
If you listen, there's some tunes you can hear some pieces.
Yeah.
For
sure. Now, as far as like probably showing you what's going on, not yet. Not until it's complete. I'm holding on this one. This one is very reserved because I want it very special. It's a very special record, and why? That was a good one. Now I got 10 emails about this one too. Why Eraserhead? What does that mean? Yeah. First of all, I came out for the photo shoot with a fresh haircut, not this one, and John Knox and Manny Morales just called me Eraserhead, and that's what had happened because it was just going to be originally Jimmy P. Brown II solo record. And I decided to call it Jimmy Brown's Eraserhead. And it's one of my favorite Lynch movies. And it's just such a bizarre flick. But I just thought it was so cool. And now with the new chrome dome look, really it kind of gives a little bit of that pointiness of those pink eraser tops for the pencils. Remember the ones you used to...
With a little makeup, man. We could probably put
that pink vibe.
Just make it look like the end of a pencil.
Yeah, I like that idea. Wait till you see the logo. It's just a big eraser, and it's in the same font as those old pink erasers.
Oh, it's the pink pearls?
Yeah, exactly. Sweet. So we'll be starting a Facebook soon, but please be looking out for this project. So back to me and Mr. Clayton. Oh, yeah. The camera's right over there. Yeah, there you go. So where is it? Right dead center. We'll see where that little light is.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I've actually looked at a computer screen in forever.
Now, put the other side up, too. We got to give a shout out. I'm an endorsee of Sinister Guitar Picks. Love Sinister Guitar Picks. Good stuff. So, been used very heavily on the Deliverance album and for Eraserhead. In fact, Jeremy, if you're watching this, I got to reach out to you for an order of picks with Eraserhead logos on it. So, all right. So where do we now? We were kind of talking. What are we going to talk about? But I like to go without a script. I kind of just am an off the cuff kind of guy. Eric is all about scripting. Which goes to say, I'm going to start by interviewing Mr. Eric Clayton. So, push you out of the way for a second. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him as Eric Clayton from Savior Machine. I know him as Eric Clayton with heartburn.
or A.K.A. Baldo.
Oh, or A.K.A. Baldo. Please welcome Mr. Eric Clayton. Yay! All right. So, Eric, where the hell have you been? And you got to talk kind of loudly.
Okay.
Oh, I like it when you talk like that. I'm closer to.
I've been in the desert for a while. I like it in the desert. Found some space out there. Found a nice little happy place. Yeah. So I've been in the desert, kind of. I don't know. Stranger in a strange land, kind of finding my way, and yeah, I found something really interesting over the last couple of years, and just kind of trying to ride that out. And it has to do with this has to do with it, and the work I'm doing with my brother has a lot to do with it. And yeah, I've been basically searching for my musical self again, I guess you could say. You know?
Yeah, you kind of you took the world by storm. Let's roll back. 1993. I think the release of Savior Machine 1, because I'm coming at this not only as your friend, but as a fan, a true fan. A lot of people don't know that, you know, I'm the one who introduced him into the preposterous world of frontline music. But I wanted just to see Eric just take the world by storm, and he blew me away. Their live performance, first time I saw him. In fact, can I reminisce the story? So me and Alan Aguirre, you may have known him as Rommel Domkus from Scattered Few, Spyglass Blue, Men as Trees Walking, the list goes on. All right, so Alan is our friend, but me and Alan are hanging out backstage at this, what was the festival called? It's out in Orange County.
This really long, it's like the first annual Southern California hard rock and heavy metal Christian,
some long name. That's why nobody remembers it.
And for us, the only, I guess, the history, and it was the first concert we ever played that was a
Christian based, Christian sponsored event. So we're, and Deliverance is headlining. I think it was Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah.
So I'm backstage. Rommel's back there hanging out with us, or hanging out with me, and I'm in the dressing room, and then all of a sudden my wife comes bursting in, and she goes, "Guys, you got to come out here. This band, you guys are gonna love them. I mean, they sound so good, and the guy sounds like Bowie." And at first, I'm not gonna lie, especially back then, you're in the limelight, and you're in the whole thing. You hear about a band, you're like,
yeah, another one, right?
Another one, right. There's like 90 bands here, But then we heard, he sounds just like Bowie. Me and Alan look right at each other and just go, "Let's go." And we go, and then I'm going to let Eric tell you about the story of the video about that. But so me and Alan literally go out, and it's Helen, Alan, who's considerably shorter than me, and me and Alan are exactly standing like this, just standing right there, just watching. And we watched for probably 3 minutes, and I was overly captivated with this voice coming through the PA system. I mean, I was just captivated. It was just amazing. And the music and the soundscape that was happening, even in the early days, it was just so cool. And I turned around, and I had to bend down to go to Alan's ear, and I whisper in his ear. I go, "Oh no!" He whispers, "No." He calls me to his ear, and he goes, "This guy thinks he's Bowie more than we do." And we kind of chuckled, and then I whispered in his ear. I said, "They're good," and he gave me a kind of a look, and then we just kept watching. And we watched probably 2 songs. And I remember the last song we watched was with the cat.
Yeah, it was When the Cat Came Home back then.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly. And I don't think it closed it because we didn't. No, or did it close it?
Were you still standing there when I poured that shit all over my?
No. Okay. Don't worry about it. It's here you go. Okay.
No, that was the last 20 minutes of our.
Oh, okay.
We played the Revelation. And I did that whole white robe thing with the blood.
Yeah, that was awesome. So, well, we were just blown away, and then we went back, and then Alan helped me warm up as he would, when he was kind enough. So, because we were going to take the stage like 2 bands later. But we were just hanging out, being rock stars, doing our thing. But man, I was waiting for the music to stop because I wanted to go meet this dude, and was really excited about it. And don't worry, the video didn't stop.
It just means we weren't moving.
Screen. Yeah, exactly. So, and we did. We met
very shortly there.
And me and Alan both approached him and said, dude, great voice.
We met in between our set and your set. It was before you guys.
Yeah.
It was short, but it was enough to know that it was legit. The funny thing he was talking about, as far as some video of that night, one of these days I have it somewhere. I know it's safe. I'll find it. I'll break it out. I'll transfer it onto some digital medium and we'll upload it. I've got footage of that concert on an old little hand cam with those tiny little tapes that were kind of crappy. But we couldn't film it from out front. They wouldn't let us that night, but they would let us film from the stage. So we put it right behind on the drum, basically on the drum riser. Yeah. And had it kind of over my left shoulder. And so it's basically you're watching the audience. Right. And a couple months, it was a few months after Jimmy and I had met that night and talked, and he told me about watching the performance and just how enthralled they were, just kind of intrigued and so forth. And so we're watching the video. A couple months later, Jeff and I and Dean, and
that was when I had long hair, so you could see me.
I know. And so, we're watching this video, and all we're doing is we're watching crowd reactions. It was kind of fun and playful. But for us, it was the first time we played a Christian sponsored promoted event.
Sure.
Something billed and advertised as a Christian festival, and it was new to us. We didn't know what was protocol, and I'm pretty sure dumping blood all over the stage wasn't.
It wasn't on the menu. That's for sure. Yeah.
But that night, I mean, we filmed it, the whole little set from the stage there, and oh man, I tell you that the audience is probably more entertaining than the show itself. And a couple months later, noticed Jimmy and Alan standing. It was pretty easy to spot. There was like you said,
a foot difference.
Right. Jimmy had the hair, and I think Rommel had like big dreads.
The dreads at the time, right. Blue dreads.
Pretty easy to spot these two, And
we're sitting there like this,
right? And this one here, I mean, seriously, the look on his face, he's smiling, like he's smiling. He's just having a good time watching this show, and it was fun to see, and that's an interesting memory. I'm going to find that tape.
Yeah, I would love to see it. It's just funny because I remember it like it happened yesterday.
And plus we're babies, man.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, babies.
So different. You mentioned that too much.
Babies.
So yeah, we're so young. You make it sound like we're 90. I feel 90 sometimes, but well. So now coming from that, so we have Savior Machine starting and going through that, and then me and Eric it's weird, our friendship just immediately, I mean, there was this bond, and then we ended up joining Scattered Few on stage, a year later, to do Man Who Sold the World.
No, same time period, like the same year.
Oh, same year, wow.
90, maybe 91, 92,
yeah.
92.
But we became, me and Eric just started hanging out, and, he lived a great well, I mean.
You were in Bellflower.
I was in Bellflower, he was in Grand Terrace, so good, 90 minutes, but he would come to me, he would come and spend and be dropped off at my house and just stay with me all day, all night, and we're both night owls, and especially back then we never slept, and this is all drug free too. This is we're just out there, just smoking and drinking coffee, or at least I was drinking a lot of coffee, and I remember just a plethora of Tums being popped. On both sides at that time. Yeah.
Good, nice reminder.
Yeah. So, but, Savior Machine 1, 93 comes, and we go on tour, and it's an interesting dynamic because people, with us, we're already kind of, our audience is a little surly, because they aren't quite acclimated to the change yet. You go from the advertisement endorsement right there, Tums. There we go. We went from this speed thrashcore band to a little more commercial with Weapons, and then What a Joke was back more hard thrash, then just Stay of Execution was such a drastic change, and our audience wasn't sure. And oddly enough, out of the entire, even though Weapons was probably our biggest seller as an individual, Stay of Execution was the only album to actually chart on Billboard at number 42 and stayed there for a good 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
In my opinion, I know Weapons is kind of the launching pad, but
yeah,
but you know what, Stay's a better record.
I think so too, and I think Billboard proved it. You know, so we you know, but Learn came out, and people were really digging Learn because Stay was just such huge,
big,
giant, big. And this one, we remained musically wide, and this is right when John Knox came on board with us, and it was me, John Knox, Manny, and Johnny Maddox. So, and then the sound had changed, but our audience started to kind of divide. And a lot of the hardcore speed thrash people weren't having it. And so they weren't showing up, but we started garnering a new crowd, a new foundation, a new set of fans. And they were coming out in the droves. And the funny thing is they were shared fans because they were absolutely in love with Savior Machine. So we had this great divide, but it wasn't really a great divide. It's just you guys were more theatrical, where we were just very LA street kids, you know?
You know, it was really the perfect kind of marriage for that 93, that little tour we did in 93.
Yeah.
That November 93 tour. It was a perfect bill if you think about it. I mean, for that time. Plus, we had a cool tour name.
Oh, yeah, Desperate Cries and Windows Eyes. Yeah, it was a really cool tour name, actually. I really liked it.
It was good. We had cool tour posters and everything.
Yeah.
No, it was a great tour that anybody who has followed the history of that tour, there's a little history in that tour.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only U.S. tour Savior Machine ever did.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I mean, it was like 12 dates, but it was the only, and it was just a Midwestern tour, really.
Well, that's where I wanted to go. So obviously, we don't need to get into the details of the defunct that happened on the tour. But when we all came home, some dust settled and some different things, Savior Machine took a completely different turn. And you found your real audience. I personally want to say, I think you found your real audience.
Our core audience,
in Europe. Primarily Germany, Deutschland. And tell us a little about where that went and that a little bit of that experience.
Well, after our 93 tour and the kind of aftermath of what went down with all that, and after the 93 tour, after the 93 tour, in November 93, our records, Savior Machine 1 was being yanked out of every Christian record store in the country, bookstore, record store, whatever they are.
Much like what happened to Scattered Few a few years earlier.
Right. And, you know, I remember Ronald/Alan being very helpful in kind of walking me through some of that. Like, dude, we just stick to what you're doing. And I'm eternally grateful for that and the kind of support I got from people like him, Brian Healy, and Pastor Dave Hart, just people that were close to me during the time. Jimmy and I were estranged for about 4 years during that time.
Yeah.
But what happened was, during that time, his career began to go in a kind of I think that's when you did some of your most soul-searching music.
Yeah, as an individual and soul-searching. As music.
Absolutely,
man. Went more art rock, for sure.
Absolutely, and you did some of your most ambitious work. And I guess we followed an opportunity that opened up for us because of a couple of very, good gentlemen with good intentions, I believe, and men that connected with what we were doing.
They believed in it.
They did. They did, and I think it was one of those things where, not to use an overly used term, but I think where God closes one door, another one opens. And,
sure.
And it was one of those things where it had to happen kind of the way it did. It didn't make sense at the time, but I don't think Europe opens up the way it did. I don't think the path that Savior Machine ended up going on, I don't think that happens without the events that happened in 93.
Absolutely. Everything happens for a reason in some odd way. We don't understand why, but the universe works its own way.
And then the next time we saw each other was it Cornerstone 98 or 97?
97, yeah.
97. Yeah. And it was our first performance back in the U.S. On U.S. soil since that November tour. And it was a big emotional thing. It was like coming home kind of thing.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah, emotional even thinking about it. We did 2 concerts. We did a day one and a night one.
Or was it 2001?
That was...
that was your second time.
Third time back.
Or third time back,
in 98 too, and that was kind of a crazy... There was a storm and stuff that year. And then, 2001 was the last time you and I saw each other. Really, I mean, briefly at 2011, but that, that Cornerstone 2011 experience was bizarre.
I wasn't there for that.
You weren't?
No, I didn't go to
see?
that. Yeah.
Bizarre enough where I thought I saw him. See?
Yeah. No, I wasn't there.
It was hot.
Yeah.
But you were there in 2001.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we played. That's when we did our triumphant return show. Yeah, that's right. Because we had broken up in '96.
That's right. So the last time Jimmy and I saw each other was, it would have been Cornerstone 2001.
Yeah, 2001. That was when we were physically with each other. Yeah.
And then 6 months ago, we started some
dialogue, and then here we are.
And here we are.
Well, now, obviously, I don't want to get too. Anybody that knows Savior Machine and knows Eric Clayton knows what I like to call the near traumatic years of Savior Machine, because your most ambitious effort was born after Live in Deutschland, because Legend was born. And, you have Legend 1 that comes out, it begins the story. Legend 2 comes out, and I'm not going to lie to you, even now, still get chills, the hair is starting to rise, because I think about the record, because the record was so powerful. I mean, it was so powerful, not only sonically, but it was just a masterpiece. It really, really just stands alone. I mean it. Stands alone. And I thought to myself, there is no chance in Hades this dude's gonna match it. No chance.
I peaked too early, man.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's that first experience. It was almost too good, and you could tell hours and hours and hours and hours went into that, and it's probably countless at this point. I don't even think you probably even have a number, because it went beyond.
I mean, to put just a fine dot on this whole point, man.
Yeah.
I think that record, it just tapped me out for a while.
Oh, it did. And you can hear how it exhausted you, emotionally, spiritually, physically.
It did, and I didn't have anything left to finish the last one. It's really kind of what it came down to. And then what I did have left, anybody who's read my journals, you can fill in the blanks.
Right.
But what I did have left was pretty quickly beaten out of me. What Cindy and I went through between 99 and 2001.
Yeah.
And then, by the time I got around to thinking about music again, it was just...
Well, I think because of that, and then you have label forcing you to try to really complete this task. And I think at that point, you were probably just so emotionally drained.
My life had been...
Physically, your life turned around.
That's where it was. When the life got turned upside down, there's just, got 2 young babies at the time.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
Yeah, my girls were 5 and 3.
Yeah, and the end of the world is the last thing you need to be really concentrating on at that point.
And you know what? I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because it leads me to something that I've, I guess wanted to communicate some way, somehow. And maybe I'm not going to be able to communicate it in full this time, but we can start a dialogue about it at least. I believe that one of the reasons why the project ended up dissipating and turning into this kind of this thing, an entity of itself. The project itself is almost bigger than anything that it is. It's like this weird thing that's just probably never going to get finished, because maybe it's not meant to be finished. I'm not sure at this point. But at the same time, getting to your point, kind of what you were touching on there, is it's hard to pour yourself into something completely and without any reservations, without any consciousness or pretense, and really pour yourself into something spiritual, I guess.
Everything that you are.
Everything that you are.
Your light being, your core.
It's hard to do that.
The yin, the yang, the positive, the negative, the dark, the light.
All of it.
Every bit of it.
How can you complete
sanity and insanity?
Yes, all of it. How can you complete meet something that you're not sure if you're connected with anymore. That's kind of what happened. It's not that I didn't believe in it anymore. It got to the point where I just wasn't connected to it anymore. The lofty concept of global annihilation, the end of all things, it just became, when your life is turned into
Well, when these two younglings that you spawned are looking at you and you see a whole brand new life looking right back at you.
Yeah, of course.
Sure changes the dynamic, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And my babies are all grown up now, and it's been a long journey and a lot of years in between. And
so is it time for doom and gloom again?
No, not yet. Not yet. There's enough doom and gloom in the world right now. We got plenty of that. I'm gonna make hippie music now. It's all gonna be love and peaceful, and
little Eric Clayton.
Yeah, you know what, man? I just think we need more music that
says something.
It says something wonderful and something powerful. There's just way too much shit out there.
I agree. Part 1, baby. Part 2's coming at you soon.